Good afternoon and welcome to Sheridan Now. I'm Joseph DellaVecchia.
And I'm Noah Sheppard. On today's show, we'll have the latest on the coronavirus, and we'll be live at the Dare to Care display here at Trafalgar campus.
We'll also take you around the world and learn about Sri Lanka, and we'll have some campus cooking with Gabby and my latest reviews on 2 movies that are out now.
But first, this week's highlight story is Bell Let's Talk Day. Today, Bell will contribute 5 cents for every applicable text, call, tweet, and social media view. It will also donate for the use of the Bell Let's Talk Day Facebook frame and Snapchat filter. The campaign raises awareness about mental health and tries to combat stigma surrounding it. Bell has committed over $100 million to mental health initiatives since the first Bell Let's Talk Day in 2011.
Lisa Canning is the author of The Possibility Mom and the lifestyle blog Lisa Canning, Blueprints for a Beautiful Life. In both, she opens up about her husband's depression and how it affects their lives. She's also a spokesperson for this year's Bell Let's Talk campaign, which raises awareness about mental health and tries to combat stigma surrounding it. I had the chance to talk with her earlier today.
It runs for 4 minutes and 57 seconds.
Well, we're very happy to have you here. So starting off, why did you decide to start to share your stories?
You know, when we realized that there were a lot of people suffering but weren't coming forward, when people would find out that my husband Josh had depression and anxiety, they would come to me sort of in hush-hush, like in the corner of a room or privately via text, and share their story with me and how much they were suffering. And we just sort of realized there have got to be so many people who suffer in silence, and it's just not necessary.
So why do you think there is a stigma around mental health, and what is it exactly?
I think there's a lot of things that contribute to stigma. Number one, I think, and this is my own personal story, I didn't understand what mental illness was.
My pleasure.
I didn't understand
and it's to Noah.
that it was something that could be diagnosed and treated. I kind of was just like, suck it up, come on, let's get moving. But I really began to realize the more I learned, the more I grew in my knowledge that it's just not the case. The same way that someone goes to the doctor for a broken leg and gets treatment, you can get treatment for an illness in the mind. And so I think that is probably the number one contributor in my opinion. And then number two, of course, people, like it's I think being vulnerable in the public sphere, anywhere, sharing things that are hard about yourself is always going to be hard. And so I think it's, lack of understanding as well as, of course, a difficult conversation contributes to some of the stigma.
So how can schools get involved and help shatter the stigma that is around mental health?
I think my favorite phrase is the phrase mental health is health. And so just this open dialogue that what you are feeling is okay, what you are feeling is normal, and that there are options available. I know when I was first understanding mental illness and how to support my husband, I really felt like very much alone. And so I think one of the biggest important things is to just have a normal conversation and also have those channels of conversation very apparent. Where do you go when you feel like you yourself are struggling, or if you want more information on how to support someone else? Making these things in schools very apparent via social media, via signage, via just ready information. And I think too, people who are in this space, who support people with mental illness, to be advocates, to share what is available to people to make it accessible.
What are the signs that someone should be looking for when trying to identify someone that's suffering from depression? I think,
for my husband, it was all of a sudden a lack of interest in the things that normally brought him joy. So that was a really big indicator. Of course, sudden change in mood in general, being withdrawn, unable to get out of bed, potentially those kinds of things. And of course, I would say just like just a regular, when someone is generally in a content state most of the time, when you observe, oh my goodness, like they're unable to handle issues or challenges that would not normally make them so overwhelmed, I think that's an important sign to watch for as well.
Now, what should you do if you know that someone is suffering from depression? How can you help them?
Here's the number one tip for what not to do, if I may offer. Try to fix them. I think that was probably the biggest mistake I made as a spouse. Like I said earlier, just this sort of feeling of like, come on, we can do it, like cheer up. That was not helpful. I think the biggest thing that we can do as people who support is simply say, wow, that must be really hard. Wow, I would find that really challenging too. It's okay that you're not feeling well. I think a position of empathy has to be our number one, position when supporting someone with mental illness.
Wonderful. And just finally, what resources are available to those that are struggling with mental health issues? Where can they get help?
There are so many resources. The Bell Let's Talk website is really helpful, as well as in all the provinces and various health offices that governments, have. You can find many resources readily available, but the Bell Let's Talk website has some really easy to digest, helpful tips for anyone.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule today, Lisa, for being able to talk with us.
My pleasure.
So, Joe, Canning mentioned that the suck it up attitude and a lack of knowledge are contributors to stigma surrounding mental health. Mm-hmm. Have you ever been told to suck it up?
I think everyone's been told to suck it up in their life, Noah. But the example that comes to my mind just right away is just a very prominent example. When I was in the 8th grade, I had an incident with a teacher where they were extremely rude to me for no reason, and it really made me feel uncomfortable being around them again. So when it came time to interact with them, I didn't want to, and another teacher just kind of got a little bit in my face and told me to just suck it up, and that was something that hurt and made me feel like my feelings weren't valid, and still sticks with me to this day.
So what did you think of Canning's advice to listen and acknowledge the struggles of people battling mental health instead of trying to fix them?
I actually think that's some of the best advice I've heard in a long time. When I was in high school, one of my best friends still to this day, she went through a lot of mental health issues, and I just thought like the thing to do was try to be that person who's going to help you solve all your problems. I thought that was the right thing to do. But after hearing her talk today and what she said, it makes so much more sense to just be there for that person, try to understand, and just show them that they have support. And now, Noah, I believe we have to move on to Tarun with the latest news updates.
Tarun Paul?